You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get sad again.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree-hugging, hippie, free-to-be, you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Well, hello, folks. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. I'm coming to you live from the Oklahoma studios here for K98 Talk. For those of you who don't know, we have hosts all over the country at this point, and I happen to head up the show here, run the whole thing, basically, from a little dark room in my basement. No, I'm just playing. That would make me sound too much like a Twitter troll. I don't know, folks. This has been one of those weeks, and it just seems like every time I turn around, there's even more bad news. Like, I don't know if any of you listening right now are Gary Shandling fans, but If so, I'm sure you've heard the news by now that he passed away today. And the real-life inspiration for the character of John Boy and also the producer of The Waltons also passed away today. Can I just say that 2016 has sucked as far as people that I actually liked, as far as actors and producers and things like that, just deciding, I mean, everybody's dying, man. I don't know, it just makes me feel old, so maybe I'm a little off-kilter today. Maybe that's part of it. Another thing is, you know, I'm watching people that I used to consider friends that have gone over to the Trump zone, or have become Trump zombies, or T-zombies as I like to call them, in both social media and real life, and I just honestly don't know how to deal with them anymore. I really don't. Because look, it doesn't make any sense to me that so many people that used to espouse conservative ideals, that said conservatism was the way to fix this country, have now jumped the shark and become Trumpers. And I don't understand it. And one of the reasons I don't understand it is because of how that man behaves. Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure by now that you heard that Donald Trump got upset because a political action committee not affiliated with Cruz, again, I'm going to say not affiliated with Cruz, put together an ad and ran it with his wife, Melania, I think is how you say her first name, in a pretty racy set of photographs, I think, from GQ. Okay, so because that happened, and honestly, Cruz had little to nothing to do with it at all, but of course Trump can't see that because all Trump sees is, hey, a PAC with his name on it or that has something to do with him has supposedly attacked my wife. Okay, so for those of you who can't see it because maybe you're listening on one of the apps or however, the tons of ways this show can be found. I mean, in between FM Player, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, AMFM247.com, SHR Media. I mean, there are several different ways that you can see the show. Not all of you always have access to the titles. So the title of tonight's show is Wives Should Be Off Limits. And I'm going to tell you why wives should be off limits, because Cruz has been taking some heat for things that he said today, and I actually have the clip. We'll be playing it here in a little bit. But I have to tell you the same thing that I told some friends of mine in a Twitter group that I hang out with right before we went on air. I don't care how upset you are about what it is that Trump said, first of all, or Cruz's reaction to it. Because as a man, if someone had come after my wife the way that Trump did, because look, this was verifiably from Trump. There is no connection between Cruz and the PAC other than the PAC supports Cruz. But there's no affiliation there. So Cruz was not directly related to that PAC, didn't have anything to do with the PAC, had no control over the ads that they chose to run, which that's one of those things that you hear all the time when you hear the commercials from the PACs. This commercial not endorsed, supported, or run at the consent of any candidate or party, blah, 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 blah. So a third-party group trolls the Trumpster's wife, and he comes unhinged. Instead of going after the third-party group that trolled his wife, he decides to try to take a shot at Ted, and tells him if he doesn't back off and have them stop running the ad, he's going to spill the beans about Cruz's wife. And that was the nicest part of the exchange, because it only got worse from there. Because as what usually happens, sometime around the time this show usually goes live, I think Donald Trump is left home alone with his Twitter account. And it usually degenerates into the rantings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. And yes, I said that exactly as I meant it. So there were exchanges and there were back and forths, and Cruz tried to take the high road at first and said, look, Donald, I apologize, wives should be off limits. This didn't have anything to do with me, though. We should leave the wives out of this. My wife is the love of my life. Your wife is beautiful, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, it never really stopped there, because the one thing that The Apprentice has taught Donald Trump over the years is you can get very far in life by learning to be an asshat. I mean, if you look at, like, clips of Donald from the 80s when he first came on the scene, like right before the time that his first book came out, which was in the late 80s, people would try to get him to admit how much money he was worth. And he was this shy little quiet guy, who wouldn't even tell anybody. I actually saw a clip of him the other day from Letterman, and Letterman was like, well, come on, Don, tell everybody how much you're worth. You'll never get it out of me, Dave. You'll never get it out of me. It's not that important. Now he goes around shouting from the rooftops how much money he's supposedly worth, and apparently he's overinflating it. Maybe it has something to do with the tiny hands. I don't know. But so anyway, back to the story at hand. Oh, did I really just go there? Actually, believe it or not, folks, that one wasn't intentional. My bad. So anyway, the Twitter back and forth exchange continues, and then finally today, much to the chagrin of a lot of folks, Cruz came out and said probably something very similar to what I would have said. And we're going to go ahead and play that now.
It's not easy to tick me off. I don't get angry often. But you mess with my wife, you mess with my kids, that'll do it every time. Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
So will you support him as the nominee?
I'm going to beat him for the nomination. He is not. I am answering the question. Donald Trump will not be the nominee. When he gets scared, he screams, he yells, often he curses, and he insults and attacks whoever is standing near him. And you're right, Donald does seem to have an issue with women. Donald doesn't like strong women. Strong women scare Donald. Now, Donald is scared a lot these days. Donald is scared to debate. He ran away from the last debate that was scheduled because he was scared of Megyn Kelly and because he was scared to defend his policies. Listen, Donald doesn't know much about foreign policy. The day before the Brussels terror attack, Donald called for America effectively withdrawing from NATO. That is utter foolishness. It would hand a massive victory to Putin and to ISIS. That weakness and unilateral surrender is indicative of someone that doesn't have a basic understanding of foreign policy. That's why Donald is afraid of debates. Because at debate, his lack of understanding of the basic knowledge necessary to keep this country safe, those become revealed at debates. When it comes to the economy, Donald has no idea how to bring jobs back to America. At debates, that becomes exposed. So he's scared of debates. He's scared of Megyn Kelly. But he's also scared of seeing Republicans uniting behind our campaign. You know, we just had an election a few days ago in Utah. We worked very, very hard. We were hoping to break 50%. If we broke 50%, we would get all of the delegates from Utah. Not only did we break 50%, we blew past that, got nearly 70%, 69% of the vote. Donald didn't like that, so you're right. He began lashing out at my wife, attacking Heidi directly. Let me be absolutely clear. Our spouses and our children are off bounds. It is not acceptable for a big, loud New York bully to attack my wife. It is not acceptable for him to make insults, to send nasty tweets late at night. And I don't know what he does late at night, but he tends to do these about 11:30 at night. I assume when his fear is at the highest point. But I also have to say, Heidi, she is the daughter of Christian missionaries. She lived in Africa as a little girl. She is an unbelievable mom. We've got two little girls who are 7 and 5. Caroline and Catherine. I'll tell you, our girls are going to come join us on the road later this afternoon. I'm not looking forward to telling the girls why Donald Trump is launching insults and attacks at their mommy. I'm not looking forward to that conversation. because it is acceptable. Real men don't try to bully women. That's not an action of strength. That's an action of weakness. It's an action of fear. It's an action of a small and petty man who is intimidated by strong women. Real men don't do that. And Donald is indicating the fear that keeps him up at night when he lashes out with anger. Heidi is my best friend in the whole world. She is the love of my life. And Donald should stick with attacking me, because Heidi is way out of Donald Trump's league.
All right, so there you have most of the clip in its entirety. I could have edited down a little bit and just got the juicy bits, but I wanted you to hear some of the other things that he had to say, because it wasn't just someone lashing out in anger, and that's the way everyone's portraying it today. I mean, he admitted to being angry, but who wouldn't be angry if someone was attacking your spouse? Why is it suddenly not okay for him to be angry? I'm not even saying it's not okay for Donald Trump to be angry about the ad that was put together about his wife. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is Donald Trump's anger was misplaced or misdirected because he thought he could find a way to score political points with it. And unfortunately, with his crowd, that's exactly what he's done. Because all he's got to do is trot out the hashtag Lion Ted and say, well, he knew about it. It doesn't matter what he says because he's a liar. And that's how despicable this campaign session has gotten. Do you know how many people that I know that have left politics altogether? Whether it's punditry, blogging, radio shows, people are just leaving. A few months back, right after I closed on the house that I'm in now, one of the better shows that I had ever heard, as far as an actual, not flash in the pan, yelly, screamy guy like me, but an actual pundit show that actually tried to talk to you about issues, was the Jennifer Meadows show, the Graceland show. She had worked her tail end off on that show, and she just decided one morning that she was done. She sent out an email to everybody, all the station managers, including me, and just said, look, I appreciate everything that all of you guys have done, but this is not for me anymore. I'm going to have to find another way to use my creativity because I just don't have the energy to continue this anymore because it's turning into nothing but a fight tooth and nail. And she's not the only one. She was just one of the first ones. Some of you know that for a short time, Politibunny was with me on this station. We're still friends. We still hang out on Twitter, but she no longer does a radio show. All because of the vitriol that had begun being stirred up at the beginning of this election cycle. Jason DeWilkins, also a very talented member of the staff here, is no longer doing live radio. We just found out actually 2 nights ago, Daniel Stafford of the Stafford Voice will no longer be doing live radio. So effective next week, the show will be moving to 10 Eastern, 9 Central. And as much as I like the fact that I'm going to be closing out the primetime lineup, I really wish that the names that I had just listed off were still fighting the fight. Those were some really talented people in their own ways, all with unique flavors, styles, and tastes, and different ways to draw people in, and their voices are now silent. Does it all have to do with this election cycle? No, I'm sure it doesn't. Doing this type of thing, especially when you're trying to raise a family and have a normal life and do a job on top of it, when you're trying to find a way to break through and actually make this your paid profession, is very, very stressful. I have considered hanging it up about 6 times. But I can't do it. I can't go more than a couple of days without doing a show because it's my release. As much as those of you who like listening to the show enjoy it, this is practically therapy for me, because if I wasn't able to do this show, there would be so many things that I would be seeing and watching, and I would feel like I could do nothing about any of them, and that's not my personality type. I've always been a fixer. I've always dove in the middle of things and tried to figure out how to make them better, and this was one of the only ways that I could find to do that. And regardless of the consequences, that is exactly what I'm going to continue to do. But the one thing that I have to tell you tonight, after all of this roundabout, circly way to get where I wanted to go, is if Donald Trump, especially after I had come to him through social media, which is where the attack started, and said, that wasn't me, your wife is awesome, mine's the love of my life, let's move on. And Donald Trump continued to do the things that he had done, there would not have been a taped session with a microphone. There would not have been Donald Trump as a sniveling coward behind a microphone. There would have been, the next time I saw Donald Trump, I would have handed him his teeth in a bag. Does that make me a bad person? Maybe it does. But what it also makes me is someone who will not watch someone else bully my wife. I won't watch anybody do it. I don't do it. There's no way anybody else is ever going to do it. Women do not deserve to be treated the way these wives are being portrayed. So for all of you, whether you're in the Cruz camp, the Rubio camp, or the Trump camp, and you're taking shots at Cruz's wife, or Trump's wife, or whoever's wife, knock it the hell off. For God's sake, we are still supposed to be Americans. At the end of the day, we still have to find a way to work together. Now, does that mean that I'm going to be able to put everything aside and support Trump? No. Not going to happen. And I've told you why. And this behavior is just another indication as to why. I cannot and will not support someone for the White House who is... I mean, there's no other way to put this, folks. Whether he's mobbed up or not, he acts like it. And look at the way he talks to people. And he never used to do that. So what changed? Was it him that changed? Did the spotlight change him? Because I gotta say, honestly, folks, I'm not the same person as I was when I first decided to sit down behind a microphone. This type of stuff changes you whether you want it to or not. But you're the one that has to decide every morning when you get up, am I going to cross that line? Am I going to become someone that I don't want to look at in the mirror anymore? I could have done that. This election cycle, it would have been really easy to do that. Do you know how many people that I know in this industry that have sold their souls to Trump? Do you know how many people that I know have basically just said, we're hitching our wagon to your star and we're going to help you get where you want to go, and that's awesome. No matter what the consequences are, we're in. Can do it. It would be really easy to do it. I've said that before. I could be another one of these guys sitting here for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a night. And yes, now that I'm moving to 9, and I have considered lengthening the show. I don't know if I'm going to yet. We'll have to see. But there have been plenty of times when I've gotten on a roll and 55 minutes just hasn't quite been enough because, you know, we've got to make room for the commercials. So I am considering it, but it would be really easy for me to tell you what I think you want to hear every night. It would be simple. I wouldn't even have to do any show prep. I could just come out and yell Trump's huge for an hour. And I would probably have 4 to 5 times the Twitter following I do right now. And probably 300 to 400 listens a show because I would be praising the Trumpinator. I just can't do it. If that means less people listen, fine. I don't care. If that means that my Twitter following stays small, at least it won't be as small as his hands. Come on. You should have seen that one coming. But I mean, seriously, folks. Look, I understand mudslinging between candidates, and I understand that there comes a time when it gets down to basically the two, which it should be by now, except for the fact that Kasich's cock-blocking. And there's not a nicer way to put that. Because at this point, if Kasich does not leave the race, there is no way that Cruz mathematically gets to 1297 without taking like 90% of what's left. And that is nearly a statistical improbability because some of the states that are left are the hardest ones for him to win. Look, I don't care how many of you agree with Cruz when he yelled out New York values. Simple fact of the matter is New York didn't like that. Cruz is currently in 3rd place in New York. Kasich is beating him in New York. Pennsylvania, I think, is another one that is about to happen. And Cruz is also losing there and in 3rd place. So, whether we like it or not, we are probably at least going to have a contested convention. Because as it stands right now, even with the numbers that Trump is going to be able to pull, with Kasich in the race, he probably won't get to the magic number either. But let me clue you in on something for those of you who aren't paying attention. That is exactly what the establishment is hoping for. That's why they have now, since Rubio left, hitched their wagon to him. Look, and I'm not downing any of you that are supporting Rubio. I just know for a fact that the establishment thought that he was one of the ones that they could work with based on the Gang of Eight thing. And I understand that he came to a senses for that. And I was even willing to forgive him over it. There are people that I work with and work for that were like, no, I'll never vote for him, never going to happen, can't do it because of the Gang of Eight thing. I'm like, look, he was young, he was trying to do what he said he was going to do, which was go to Washington and get things done, and he misstepped. But he recovered it. It didn't even pass, and he was one of the reasons why it didn't pass when he figured out what was going on. So we're going to continue to hold things like that against him, but Trump gets a free pass on every stupid thing he's ever done when the list is much, 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 much longer. Saying. I mean, really, folks. I mean, I understand that there for some reason, compromise is now a bad word. And I think it's because, for the longest time, compromise wasn't a bad word. But what slowly became compromise was our side giving away everything that we wanted in exchange for hoping to make friends with the other side. Because we were always the ones that were like, look, this is how this is supposed to work. Our side won, so we get to do this time, and when your side wins, it'll be your turn. It's not been like that for decades. And that's why I'm saying at this point, I think we honestly need a viable third party. I don't know if the Libertarian Party is ever going to become an actual viable third party. They're too disorganized, they have almost no structure, and they don't even do any type of a real primary process to sort out who's going to be on the ballot. I mean, I know that my state's about to do a Libertarian primary for the first time in forever because they finally made it onto the ballot. And I am honestly considering changing my registration in a few days when I go update information because I've got to go change my address on my driver's license anyway. So when I do that, I'm honestly considering changing my registration to Libertarian. It could hurt me in the long run because if they don't get at least 10% of the vote, they'll be removed again and I'll have to figure out if I'm going Republican, Democrat, or Independent. Probably Independent. But that's the thing that pains me, folks. I'm watching the destruction of a party that I have invested almost 6 years of my life back into. Some of you may think that what I do here is small. Maybe on the grand scheme of things it is, but it still takes a lot of my time. Hours and hours and hours of my life spent interviewing people, talking to people, getting story ideas, delving into things, trying to bring you maybe the angles that other folks aren't getting to, giving you my perspective, letting you give me your perspective. None of this has been easy, and it takes lots and lots of time. And I'm not saying that because I want you to be like, oh my God, Rick, you're so awesome. Look, no, that's not what this is about. I'm just trying to make you understand that for all of you that look at numbers, because I gotta say something, because this actually surprised me. You know, the other day, because I don't really talk about it that much, but I've been on WNJC now for about 9 months. It's been quite a while. So I finally started talking about it with some folks the other day, and all of a sudden I had some little nobody with like 50 Twitter followers is like, oh my God, you're this big radio star and you've only got a little over 3,000 followers, blah, 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 blah. Look, first of all, I never said I was a big radio star. Don't ever know if I'm going to be a big radio star. But what I did find out is one of the guys who's a much bigger radio star than me, at least around here, has a much smaller Twitter following than I do. So I'm kind of proud of my little 3,000 followers right now. And actually, it seems like it's jumping up by about 20 or 30 a day at this point. I think now that we got over 3,000, I think we finally got to the point where I think we're starting to get it noticed. But why do I say that? Because again, I'm not trying to do any of this to toot my own horn. What I'm trying to do is make you guys understand that none of this is easy. So if you like any of the shows that are here, mine, anybody's, make sure you're telling folks about it. Because these folks put their hearts and souls into this, and may do it for little to no money. We're hoping to change that, and we're working on changing that. But you have to understand, we don't have big network backers behind us. We don't have a large syndication group like iHeartMedia or Cumulus footing the bill while we try to build up sponsors. We're doing this all on our own. Because we care. These should be the type of shows that you're supporting. Not these idiots like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh and all these guys that have gotten where they are and now they don't give a damn about what happens to you. Look at what Sean Hannity is doing. And if you haven't yet, I suggest that you start Googling phrases like Sean Hannity coaches Trump. Sean Hannity encourages Trump. You'll find some very interesting things. I.e., several years ago, when there were articles that were found where it was mentioned that Sean Hannity had given Donald Trump the idea to run for president and was going to try to help him make sure that happened. So ask yourself, why is it that someone like Sean Hannity would be supporting someone like Donald Trump? It's time that we get more discerning, folks. And it really is that simple. Don't just take it because someone says they're conservative and, it says conservative on his profile, so he must be a conservative. No, because if there's anything this election cycle has taught me, not everyone who says they're conservative is actually a conservative. And I'm not necessarily even saying there's a litmus test. What I am saying, though, is there's no such thing as a one-policy conservative. I've told you my views. Abortion's bad. It's terrible. I don't think on a personal level it should exist. What I think as a government and as a country is that we need to get back to the original intent of Roe v. Wade, which was not an abortion clinic on every corner, which was not abortion being used as birth control. It was to be used in rare instances when only absolutely necessary And it was to be made legal to keep people from doing things like using rusty wire coat hangers to terminate their pregnancies. I'm not asking us to go back to rusty wire coat hangers. What I'm asking us to do is to go back to the original intent of Roe v. Wade, which was safe, rare, and legal. None of those things exist anymore. We now have Planned Parenthood, who Donald Trump endorses, by the way, selling off baby body parts. So the Republican frontrunner endorses a baby mill. You guys are fine with that. Well, Rick, you don't understand. He says he doesn't endorse the abortion or the allegations of the selling the baby body parts, but he thinks that Planned Parenthood, Rick, would it would be bad to defund them because they provide so much good female related health care, Rick. Really? Have you actually looked at where the money for Planned Parenthood goes? Because I have. Not telling you. If you disagree with what I'm about to tell you, then look it up and you email me your research. And you show me how I'm wrong. Because I've done the research. Another thing that pisses me off is when I get called out on social media because I don't do research. I just take the party's jargon and BS at face value. You know how many people that are Bernie Sanders supporters have told me that over this election cycle? It's why I'm fed up with all of it. But I'm still sitting here talking about it anyway because it's important, whether I want it to be or not. At this point, I would rather be talking to you about my favorite TV shows. I am so over this political season. But I can't do it. And I won't do it. Because this still matters. And right now the fight's not over. And I'll be damned if I'm putting down my weapon before the fight's over. And my microphone is my weapon of choice. So again, Planned Parenthood provides little to no other services than abortion. Look it up. So you tell me, Mr. Trump, how it is that you can support Planned Parenthood, but then say that we need to make sure that the government funding is not going for things like abortion. Last I checked, and you should understand this more than most, it's really hard to separate where the funding comes into and goes out to. In other words, it's not like it's this little spigot that you can go, oh, we're going to turn this one off here and turn this one on here, so only the private money goes into abortions and the public money goes into the other non-existent female medical services. I don't understand it anymore, folks. I'm trying, I really am. But we're watching the country die. And the extent of our reaction to it is to, as a party, attack each other. Look, for all you Rubio guys out there, I get it. Your guy lost. But out of everybody that's left in the fight, Cruz is the closest to your guy that's left. And I know what all of you that are still rabidly supporting Rubio are hoping for. And that's the same thing that Kasich is hoping for. And now, unfortunately, thanks to Kasich, the same thing that Cruz is probably secretly hoping for, which is a contested convention that allows him to get the nomination. But let me tell you something that none of you want to hear. If we get to a contested convention, none of the guys that you like are going to get there. None of them. It will either be Kasich, who leapfrogs over everybody else, or they're going to parachute in Romney and somehow he's going to take the nomination. And no matter how much I dislike Trump, and no matter how much I am pissed off at the Republican Party right now, the last thing I want to see happen is the establishment steal yet another election. And that is at this point what they are angling to do. So for all of you that are Trump, are Cruz support, or Rubio supporters, that are taking shots at Cruz supporters and Cruz supporters that are taking shots at Rubio supporters, knock it the hell off. We have 3 common enemies at this point. Nobody's talking about any of them. In our own house, we have 2 very large problems. We have a governor who's campaigning for postmaster general, but thinks that he's campaigning for president. And we have a reality TV star who has co-opted the entire 2016 campaign cycle. Those are our immediate problem. Quit firing on each other, form up, and do what you got to do. Because if you're a Rubio supporter and you're a Cruz supporter, you guys are a hell of a lot closer together than any Trump supporter. And the last thing we need right now is a Trump presidency. And I've told you why over and over and over again, and I'm going to keep telling you why. And if, God forbid, he makes it and he gets there, then you're going to get 4 years of I told you so. Wrapped up in what went wrong today, George, because we're screwed. I will likely be doing my show in hiding or be doing it from a re-education camp. Because he's going to rework the entire First Amendment and make it impossible for anybody to ever say anything bad about him or his wife or his kids again. And he's already told you that's exactly what he's going to do. And nobody cares. Because, well, Rick, he talks like me. I like the fact that he's mad. I like the fact that he's taking the fight to the establishment. You know what? At first, so did I. When he first came onto the scene, I was like, oh my God, somebody that I finally agree with. And then I started listening to the things that he was saying. And more importantly, the things that he wasn't saying. Like how he's going to do anything that he's saying he's going to do. Never mind the fact that within the last 48 hours, he's walked back I'm going to seal off the border, build a wall. No, really probably didn't mean that. No, probably not. Nothing. Crickets. I mean, nothing. Just nothing. I mean, it literally, you know, he's like, oh, that thing with the wall? Yeah, no. I didn't say that, did I? That wasn't what I said. Or if it was what I said, it wasn't what I meant. But my campaign's still going to be huge, and this was his followers. Now, anybody who's not in his camp, who heard him walk it back, were like, boo! You suck! Which is what a lot of us have been saying the whole time, but now we're just sitting here going, hello? Notice? Major walk back. Major walk back? Anybody? Bueller? Well, folks, apparently I did it again. I got on such a rant. We're about 15 minutes over break. So I should probably take a break now. We'll be back. Yay for blowing it. For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all the laws. Alright, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do. The wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Calls, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect, or fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live, and thanks to that really delayed break, we are about out of showtime. Gotta love it when I completely blow the mark. Joys of being the boss, though, they can't really yell too much. I mean, the affiliates may not be very happy, but hey, they play their own commercials on the front and the back anyway, so they can't really be mad at me about what I do in the middle. So, anyway, and again, back to the whole point of this. Look, I don't care which side of the camp you're on at this point. I mean, honestly, if you're a Trump supporter, I don't understand it. I don't think I ever will understand it. But can we just stop being so damn mean to each other? Can we remember that we're supposed to be Americans? American, first, last, always. That's what should matter. Especially with everything else that's going on around the world. American, first, last, and always. We are brothers and sisters, whether we want to be or not. Whether we were born here, whether we immigrated legally here and became citizens, we are all Americans. We have lost sight of that because of the hyphenation and the compartmentalization of our society. And this election cycle epitomizes exactly what can happen when you allow yourself to be pigeonholed. When you start hyphenating people and you start recognizing individual traits above the fact that we are all Americans, you cheapen the very society that you are supposed to be defending and supporting. I mean, I'm Heinz 57, folks, so I mean, technically I could be Irish American, I could be Native American, I could be a Polish American. You know what? I'm just an American. If that's not good enough, then I don't give a damn. And that's something that we've all lost sight of. And that's exactly what all of this shows me. Everything that's going on in social media right now with this election, and everything that's going on in the media cycle with this election, it's all driven to alienate people and drive ratings. And this is exactly what's happening. You've got two very closely related groups of people in the Cruz supporters and the Rubio supporters that should be uniting. They should be. Their candidates are very similar. But because everybody was so invested in Rubio, they're buying Trump's BS, and now they're calling him Lion Ted because Rubio didn't get there. When you show me one time that Ted Cruz has lied, let me tell you why that... You know what? I told you guys I wasn't going to tell you this, and I think I've already said it before on at least one show, but I'm going to say it again. Let me tell you why Ted Cruz got my vote in the primary. Because he's been the only guy in my lifetime that said, send me to Washington and I will do X, Y, and Z. And then he went to Washington and he actually did X, Y, and Z. You tell me why that alone doesn't make him the best candidate for president, because he does what he says he's going to do. He doesn't pussyfoot around about it. He doesn't say, well, I was really going to try to do it, folks, but it just didn't work out, and I couldn't get... No, he went in and he did it. And the things that he did, they weren't easy things, and he still managed to get them done. He was one of the only people in D.C. actually accomplishing things, but he's not good enough to be president. So again, I ask you, how is it that he is not good enough to be president? Because, oh my God, Rick, he's not a natural born citizen. If I hear that one more time, it's kind of like that line that JD and Stacy like to say. The next one of you that says shenanigans, I'm going to pistol whip you. The next one of you that comes into my Twitter feed or into my email account and says, well, Rick, you can't vote for him because he's not a natural born citizen, man. We come from the father, Rick, not the mother. His father would have had to have been an American citizen for him to be considered naturalized. Just shut up. Do the world a favor and shut up. If you're typing that message to me, do the world a favor and break your fingers. Nobody needs to hear from you. The Constitution does not ever define what a natural born citizen is. And by our laws, if he was born to an American parent, he is a citizen. Therefore, he is a natural citizen. And for those of you that are wanting to disagree with me, I want you to do me a really big favor, and I want you to go find a really short bridge, or a really short pier, and take a really nice long walk, and just keep going till it splashes. Because here's the thing that none of you that are holding this argument and thinking this is a legitimate argument are taking into account. Each state has to have their ballot reviewed to make sure that the candidates are eligible before they can ever be placed on the ballot. And yet he's on the ballot in all 50 states and all the territories. But he's not eligible to run for president. I mean, come on. When did we become so stupid that we are letting a TV star... You know, that's another thing. Well, Reagan was Reagan was an actor. Look, Donald Trump's not an actor. He's a freaking reality TV star. Reality TV epitomizes everything that's wrong with this country right now, and we're going to give this guy the keys to the kingdom. Now, I know there are exceptions. Duck Dynasty, a couple other ones that aren't terrible to watch. Some of them are actually funny, but then you have the Honey Boo Boos of the world and the Celebrity Apprentices of the world, and I don't want to do it anymore, folks. This shouldn't be about ratings. This whole cycle has been about ratings. That's what everybody's talked about from the beginning. Look at all the new faces that Trump is bringing in and look at all the viewers that he's bringing to the debates and blah, 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 blah. Look, here's the thing. And some people are going to hate me for this because it's going to make me sound like an elitist. But I'm sorry, if you don't understand enough about our political system to understand exactly how it works, you probably shouldn't be allowed to vote in it. Because here's the thing, folks. When the Constitution was ratified, we were an educated people. We were. We're not now. We have more prevalent education now. It's readily available. It's easily affordable because most of it's free. And yet we're more stupid now than we were 200 years ago. Explain that one to me. All right, so at this point, folks, we are actually getting down to the end of the show, and now you see why I'm actually considering extending once I go to the early time, because the hour goes by and I haven't talked about half what I wanted to talk about. The good news is we still have tomorrow, so I'll be back with you live tomorrow night. Also, tomorrow night will be the return of A Day in the Life of Hillary's email segment, or Hillary's email server segment. I have some fresh-ish emails from barbedwiresatire.com in regards to that we hadn't used yet, so I'll be putting that together tomorrow afternoon before air. So make sure you tune in for that, and make sure that you, if you haven't yet, make sure you go check out Barbed Wire Satire. It's a really great publication, and actually has been a part of our network now for a while. And I was really excited about finding a way to get him involved over here, and then on my show, because he's been a regular contributor for JD and Stacy now for a while. And then CPAC happened, and then I got sick, and then all these other things have come up, and now I think he's given up on me. Actually, that you'll have to tune in for it, but there's actually a joke about that tomorrow on this newest segment. So, because there was an interesting thing that happened right around the same time that I realized we hadn't done a fresh segment in a while, that actually broke in the news about the server, and we will actually be using that tomorrow. But on that note, folks, it is time for me to get out of here, because for now I have only designated myself an hour, and I do have to go to work tomorrow, so I really do got to go. Just remember, whether you agree with what I say or you don't, the one thing I ask you to do is put down the remote, get off the couch, and find a way to get involved. Unless you're supporting Trump, then just keep being a couch potato. No, I'm just playing. I'll be back with you live tomorrow night, folks. Don't go away.
Everything you earn by breaking your backs, we're gonna redistribute when we make our pay tax. Hey, sit down.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.